Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm Andy RC and today I'm going to be checking out the FuriBee GT220 Fire Dancer. So this is another model in the FuriBee GT series. So I checked out the GT215, which has very similar components to this, just a couple of minor changes, and also the GT90, which is their micro version as well. So yeah, the 215 had some problems and I have a feeling that those are going to carry on to this model. But first of all, let's talk about the specifications. So the motors are the same as the 215. These are the unbranded 2306 2400 kV brushless motor. Very nice brushless motor. We got the hollow shaft there, and we've also got a hex screw there underneath rather than a C-clip, which I really liked, which was quite handy on the 215 because I crashed it a lot. And that is going to be the same with this model, and that is because we have these wires going up to this 4-in-1 ESC board here, and it requires a change in order to get this model flying in the B Al Hali suite setup. So you need to change the motor timing because it's exactly the same ESC board as the 215. You need to set it to medium low. If you don't do that, when you throttle up, the thing is just going to flip out of control and the ESCs are going to reset. So yeah, I've done that with this one and it seems to have worked for this model as well, which is good. Then moving up, we've got the same flight controller. It's the Omnibus F4 SD, so you can put an SD card in there if you like. And then we've got this aluminium part of the frame here, which is very rigid, but it does make the model heavier than the 215. So it comes in at 328 grams, so not incredibly heavy, but not a lightweight model either. And then we've got the camera up here as well, which they touted as being a HD camera and a CCD camera. It's none of those things. It's a CMOS camera and it runs in 16:9, and I do like how this swivels on here. It swivels quite nicely. And then we've got a 2.1mm lens on here as well. The lens does seem to be of a very good quality. So, something that has changed with this model is the VTX. It is not a switcher, it's a 48 channel, but it is stuck at 600 milliwatt. And yeah, there's quite a lot of noise on the 215 version, so I'm hoping that maybe switching the VTX out might reduce that, because that was one of my main problems with the 215 was the amount of noise on there. But you can see we're given this included pagoda antenna, and the VTX is just on this sticky pad, and then we've got a cable tie around it as well, so that could break off in a crash. Then we've got two buttons here. You can't actually access the other one, but we can change the band and the channel there, and got the corresponding LEDs there. Now, just the same as the 215, I've switched out the stock receiver, so it came with a little D8 receiver. I think they call it the FM 800 or something like that, and yeah, no good for a 5-inch model, so I've switched that out to an XM Plus. I would recommend, if you're interested in this model, to get the plug and fly version. And yeah, I've had to take it apart, so just 2 screws here and 2 screws there, and this lifts off, and then you can solder in your receiver. It's quite simple to do there. The receiver just on there with some sticky tape as well. We've got the same battery strap, which it broke on the 215 because I crashed it a lot. I am not planning on crashing this a lot, but yeah, it might be worth switching that out because yeah, quite a flimsy battery strap, and there's no silicone padding under there to stop your battery moving. Of course, there's no battery included in this model. It will take a 4 to 6S. However, I've only tested these on 4S because of all of the desync issues. I'm going to be using the Tattoo line 1300 milliamp 4S battery in this flight. As for other stuff, so you get given these props, the same props as before. They are a 50-48, and you're given a spare set of those, and we've also got the nuts on here as well. You're going to have to tighten those up. Of course, we are given a carbon fiber spanner for doing that, and you're actually given a sort of like a battery carbon fiber mat to go underneath there, but they haven't attached that. We've got the same manual as all the other GT series here as well. Like I say, just a couple of changes there, and you can see it says just 600 milliwatts there for the power output. That might put a lot of people off because I generally run 25 milliwatt these days, and that is pretty much it. That's all that you get in the package. So I've bound it to my Tyrannus, and I'm going to be using my Fat Shark Dominator HD3s for the FPV with the Pro Plus diversity module and the Menace Invader patch antenna, and a Onway Cloverleaf antenna here as well. As for Betaflight, it was pretty easy to set up. I just had to put my modes in there. It had motor stop turned on. I've turned that off. I've switched some of the on-screen display around as well, and I've put in the command set small underscore angle equals 180 so that I can arm it at any angle. There is a buzzer in there, just like the 215, and unlike the 215, there isn't a S-bus wire connecting to the VTX, so you're not going to be changing your VTX channels on the aux 2 like with the 215, so you don't have to remove that wire. That's a good thing in my opinion. Okay, let's go for the maiden. I'm standing a little bit further back than I usually do, just in case I have any of those desync issues that I had with the GT215, but I have given it the same setup that seemed to work with that one. So as this is the maiden, just going to check that I have all the controls, and it's on the punch out where it had a desync. Yeah, it seems fine so far though. Try again. Wow, that's got a lot of power for sure. Now, I saw some people in the comments say they were having this flip issue with the Dart Max. Wouldn't be surprised if they switched it out with the same ESC board. If that is the case, I would definitely recommend trying the medium-low timing setting, because it seems to work. It's worked for the GT215, and so far not having any issues with this one. I was having issues by now with the other settings, so I definitely think that fixes it. As for how it flies, pretty nice, I have to say. Feels very floaty, just like the GT215 did. This is completely stock Betaflight PIDs that it comes with. I'm not hearing any vibrations or anything like that. I'm not seeing any wobbles, but usually those manifest themselves in the FPV flight, so we'll have to see about that. Doesn't really feel much different actually than the GT215, even though it's a little bit heavier. It's not much heavier though, really, is it? You know, line of sight's flying nicely. But I will have to reserve my judgment for the FPV flight, because I think it's got that same camera. And the VTX is different though, so be interested to see what kind of noise is on there. Because for me these days, that's a make or break for a copter if it's got loads of noise on the picture. The GT215 didn't have any regulators or anything like that, so I think that's where a lot of the noise came from. And I don't think this one has regulators either, but it does have a different VTX, which sometimes can make all the difference. I really like the colour scheme of this GT series. It's pink. I know a lot of people don't like that. There's a lot of models out there with the pink or purple colour scheme, and I think that upsets a lot of people. It doesn't bother me, I like it. I need to do some tests with these GT models to see if they actually will perform okay on a 5 or 6S. However, just look at all that power on a 4S. You don't really need it. Especially, I think, at this price point and the type of model it is, probably going to attract a lot of beginners rather than the more advanced pilot. That's not to say that you can't throw it around like a fully fledged racing model. But yeah, no desync issues here, so that bodes well for the FPV flight. I do like how quiet these models are as well. Pretty nimble. But again, this is all just line of sight, so let's go for a landing and get some FPV done with it. So on to some disappointment, and the FPV flight only seemed to last 20 seconds and then the VTX gave up. It just cut out and it crashed and it would no longer power up. Not sure what any of that is about. It's probably just my bad luck more than anything. So yeah, I'm gonna have to switch the VTX out there and yeah, just start working. There does seem to be less noise than the 215, but there's still definitely noise there. And there you go, it cuts out. So yeah, there's no regulators on this sort of filtering out anything from the video, same as the 215. So I think that is a bit of a downside, and yeah, similar sort of problems to the 215. So I'll link the review to the 215 as well, because it goes more in depth to some of those issues. But if you want to check this one out, I'll put a link in the description. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.